Logical Idiot presents Hashtag Hate, Fight for 15. Hello YouTube, Logical Idiot, and today's Hashtag Hate is Fight for 15. Ooh, this is going to be ugly. This is going to be really ugly. I'm going to go ahead and link an article from Huffington Post on here. It's not really about the hashtag so much as just about the issue behind it. And just a note on the Huff Post, it's fucking ridiculous how much I hate this group of writers, whatever they want to call themselves. I'll show you right now where the article I'm linking to. It's from the HuffPost business section, and it's called "These are the Faces of the Fight for the 15 Movement." Now, how the fuck that's in the business section of HuffPost is beyond me. It does not make sense. Every time I read the HuffPost, I'm not that I do it very often, I try not to, but I'm taken aback at how awful this reporting is, how one-sided it is. Kind of reminds me of like 14-year-old or 15-year-old trying to write an article who, you know, they're old enough to have a little bit of intelligence, a little bit of experience, but man, they're just so blind to so many other things in the world, have no context for something, and just can only see kind of down their narrow blinders on viewpoint. And so that's the HuffPost for me. And again, why this is in HuffPost business I'm looking at right now, it still blows my mind what they're reporting in this article has nothing to do with business whatsoever. So obviously the backstory behind the hashtag Fight for 15 is a movement to try and get the nationwide minimum wage raised to $15 an hour. Now, I am very libertarian leaning. If I consider myself a libertarian for the most part. I don't adhere to all some of their party platform kind of things. I make my own decisions on things. But I know minimum wage is one thing that I kind of accept as okay. It's okay to have, because I don't know if this will make sense, my explanation, but if anybody who knows about the American tax system, we have a standard deduction. Instead of having everyone in the country have to itemize their deductions and keep receipts and figure all the deductions out, we just say, hey, here's a lump sum. I think it's $6 grand right now, $6 or $7 grand. For those who don't want to itemize, who don't make enough, we're just going to give you this amount and say that's it, and that's just a standard. Everyone gets that minimum deduction. I think that's the same thing with the minimum wage. It's fair that those people who are younger, not as educated, who can't just walk in somewhere and say, hey, I need to make this some certain amount of money, they have a basic minimum wage. That's why I think it's fair. I know some libertarians say it shouldn't be there, it should be all market forces. I can buy that to some extent, but being realistic and just knowing what I was when I was 16 years old, you know, I'm okay with the minimum wage from that standpoint. Now, you'll never guess who is the main backer for the Fight for 15 hashtag or group, whatever you want to call it. Believe it or not, is the SEIU, the Service Workers Union. And of course, there's no underlying factor for the union support that they just want people who have families to be able to support their families. It's all about them. It has nothing to do with what the union wants or what the union is trying to get at. More on the union in a second, but we'll come back to that. So basic economics tells us that when you raise costs, you need to raise prices or lose profit. That's straightforward. And so when you raise the minimum wage is $7.50 or whatever it is right now, and you want to double that to 15, all right, that's fine, but then that 7's got to go. I mean, it's got to be taken from somewhere. It's got to be taken from profits from the company, or it's got to be taken from the people buying the product in the form of higher prices. I mean, this is pretty straightforward stuff. But the people that are advocating for this want you to ignore that aspect. They don't want you to think about the economic side of what's going on here. They want you to focus on the people. They want you to focus on their stories, on the focus on that they can't live a livable life. In fact, they like to change it from minimum wage to a living wage. And they want you to focus on anything but the actual economic aspect. They want you to focus on the big, powerful, mean, greedy corporations that make all this profit, while these people struggle in these bad work conditions. And so part of the link I'm sharing with you tells a few of these stories. I'm just going to go over these really quick to show who is part of this movement and why I fucking hate every single one of them for doing that. And then we can touch on a few other things after that. To be sure, you know, these people that I'm going to talk about right now don't have to necessarily represent the people that want this movement to continue, but they're the ones being offered as the face of this movement. So let's go first. So the first person on this website, she's from New York. She's a waitress. She says she makes $5 per hour plus tips. Now, if you have a problem with that, why are you a waitress? I don't get it. It blows my fucking mind that if you, when you offer the job and they say, hey, you're going to get $5 plus tips, you don't stop and go, wait, that doesn't fucking, I can't live off that, but whatever. So part of her problem is that, and she, of course, she looks like she might be Latina or maybe a mixed race, not that I give a shit, but she's pointing out that as a woman of color, I've been passed up by promotions and higher paying positions. Now, how she knows that, I don't know. And why she didn't, you know, do something about it, because that is illegal in this country. If they just did it based on her race alone, well, I don't know that. But she says, I've been turned down from positions where I'd be making more money because they only hire white males at a lot of fine dining establishments in the city. Oh, wow. So right off the bat, you can see she's basically just blaming everyone else for a thing. The other thing she says is that we work for 8 hours plus and sometimes we only make 20 bucks. Now, I'm actually pretty good with math, so I'm going to have to help her out here. If you made $5 an hour and you worked 8 hours plus, you'd at least make $40 now, even if no one tipped you at all, which seems odd because every time I know, since I've been a fucking even when I was a teenager, I at least tipped fucking 10%. I mean, now I tip 20 as a standard, but I mean, I cannot believe you're telling me you only made fucking 20 bucks when you worked more than 8 hours. So I'm calling bullshit on this chick right now. And then she said, I can't afford health care, blah, 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 so that I'm sicker and I have to work less. So she's basically just blaming fucking everyone in the world for her problems. So she wants you, us, the government, to force her to be able to make more money, even though she fucking should have known better. Okay, the next genius on the list, he's 34 years old, he works at McDonald's, says he makes $8.75 an hour. Why is he protesting? He doesn't really know. He says there's a lot of issues in the country with Black Lives Matter and immigration and childcare, and these are all the same for everybody. Black and brown people are going through this. This is how we come together, and it gives me drive, and I want to make change. So he doesn't really have any real thought on the issue. He just fucking is going to decide to go along with everybody else. So I will fucking screw him over. Next person, her name is, I don't want to say her name. She's 48 years old. She works at a beauty salon. She gets paid $300 per week. We are fighting for $15 an hour and orders 5 in this city. It's very expensive. Our salaries are very low, so we need 15. So again, someone who just wants someone to give them more money when they can't get it on their own, basically. Oh, and sorry, I paused before I finished up with this last person who said we need to survive and help our families in our home countries. So feel great that you get to help support their home people in their home country rather than just the people here. So that's very important. All right, next person. I'm going to have to run through these because this is getting a little bit longer than I wanted. She's from Richmond. She works at McDonald's. She makes $9.60 an hour. Why she's protesting? She makes $9.60 an hour. Why she's protesting? I'm here because they don't have our back. When we were robbed, the owner didn't really come see how the workers were. It was really sad. We're asking for security. This McDonald's is in a bad area. I depend on my McDonald's payment. I have a daughter, son, out of the country. I try to send money home. This is so wrong to read these. This makes me want to fucking... That is disgusting that this is really coming down to they want to send money home. Okay, so let's give this next guy a little credit for just being honest. He works at Goodwill as a janitor. Basically says he makes $13.50 an hour. Why is he protesting? Hey, I'm no different from anybody else. He says, I just need more money. That's the bottom line. I figure if I can get a couple more dollars on my check, it'll help ease the pain. Oh my gosh. So it has nothing to do with need for this guy. It's just, hey, he wants more money. So amazing that, hey, again, at least he was honest about it. Let's finish up. There's two more. I want to just quickly go over the last one. Second to last one, she's 19 years old. She's a cashier at McDonald's. She's also a student at community college. She says she works very hard, and then she's seen theft. And she says she has not been paid for overtime, which I don't know how raising the minimum wage is going to help that. She says we're not allowed to use sick days either. That's, again, I don't know how the minimum wage is going to change any of that. And she says she needs security too. She said she's been attacked. Again, what the fuck is the minimum wage going to do to change all of that? Oh man, there's one more person. This guy makes $14 an hour at Starbucks, and he says we're struggling. We need to raise our kids and raise our families. The price of food and price of rent, we don't know what to do. I work with people who make $11 an hour, and that's not enough. And so you think raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour is going to lower the price of food or lower the price of rent or make it more affordable? Because it's not. The price of food is going to go up. I mean, that's bottom line. Rent may not change, but food will definitely change, and other things will become more expensive with the raise of the minimum wage. My point of going over those group of people that I had showed on the HuffPost article wasn't to try and make fun of them necessarily, or make it known that they're all the voices of the movement. But clearly, the narrative here is that we need to raise this minimum wage up because there are families with kids who are struggling to get by and just can't get by unless we raise this minimum wage to 15. And that clearly, in my opinion, isn't always the case. And in fact, I don't have any percentages here, but I would guess even if 70% of the people had kids and were adults who worked here, there's still 30% who are probably kids or who work part-time on their own choice or who work those jobs because they don't want anything more, who are going to benefit from this unnecessarily. And it is such a waste of money for a lot of businesses. At the same time, to piggyback that, sure, McDonald's can definitely afford probably raising it to $15 minimum wage and companies like that. But what about small businesses? I mean, it's not just fast food workers. It's if you're going to raise the minimum wage for everyone, I mean, that's every single business. That's every small business owner who may be struggling to get by will now have to raise their minimum wage for their employees too. So you can talk about all you want about big corporations and all these profits they make and how the CEOs make so much money, which, by the way, when you look at the union head, the union president makes, I think, close to $250,000 a year, $300,000 a year. They're the ones backing this, but they don't like to talk about that the union heads make a shit ton of fucking money as well. But to get back to it, I mean, this is going to affect a lot of different things. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be raised it up at all. I'm not saying there shouldn't be a minimum wage, but there has to be more thought put into it than just, these poor people need more money. It's just sad that is the narrative that has to be played over and over for this Fight for 15 hashtag. In conclusion, while I do think there are some real, honest people who could really be helped by the minimum wage being raised to $15 an hour, I think there's also a huge block of people who are just tagging along because they want more money for having less skills and doing less work. And I think it's backed by the unions because they certainly know if they can get more people involved in their union, the more money they can make for their highly paid executives who make over fucking $250,000 a year, yet complain about CEOs of other companies. So in general, I fucking hate this fucking stupid hashtag Fight for 15 because it represents a lot of dumb ideas with bad evidence based on emotional pleas to help out the poor and their families. And there's a lot more that could be said about this, but I'm going to end this right now with just the fact that, again, raising the minimum wage to one level might be all right, but to 15 is fucking ridiculous. It'll do a lot more bad than good. And for that, I say, fuck you, Fight for 15. I fucking hate you. Logical Idiot out.